Hey friends, welcome back to Call Me After Coffee. My name is Bree. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been around for a while, thanks for coming back. Today I am talking about my April wrap-up. And I had really big ambitions for April and stuff just got away from me and I didn't get as much reading done as I wanted. I almost finished 5 books, but I did not finish 5 books. So I'm gonna jump right into the stack here. The first one that I have is Things in Jars by Jess Kidd, and this was the best book to start the month with. Oh my goodness, it was so good. It turned into like an accidental kind of buddy read with my friend Kirsty. It made it even better. Like, the experience was so good. I guess we didn't read it at the same time, but I read it and I absolutely loved it. Like, I adored this book. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I really loved it, and I messaged my friend Kirsty and I was like, this is on script, you should go and listen to the audiobook. If you know me, I am not a big audiobook person, but this audiobook is great. The narrator has a wonderful voice and she does such a great job with the characters. Like, I could talk all day about that audiobook, but I listened to that while reading the book and it just made the experience so great, and I can't say enough good things about Things in Jars. It was so good, and I literally picked it up knowing nothing about it, except it was weird and kind of not similar in storyline, but similar in tone and feeling. I think the technical term, or more technical term, is like gothic. If you loved The 13th Tale, I think that you should definitely give this one a try. It just has that same eerie sort of tone. Things in Jars is set in the 1800s and you get some parts from the earlier, I think like 1840s, and then some points from later in the 1860s, so it kind of bounces back and forth a little bit. Our main character, Birdie Devine, is divine. I loved her character. There's a side character named Cora who is just this like brusque like housekeeper. I loved her. There is a ghost in the story who's one of the main characters. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I loved him. Ruby, I think his name's Ruby O'Doyle or something like that. I loved him. So it's kind of like this funny trio, and it's this really interesting like mystery, but also it follows a little bit of this Irish folklore. It is such an interesting book, and it's so creepy and it's so weird and it's definitely a bit dark. But I loved this book so much. I would love to reread it at some point and annotate my favorite parts. I couldn't really annotate it listening to the audiobook because it kind of ruined the experience to stop the audiobook to make notes. So I just didn't this time. I actually didn't do a lot of annotating this month, which is weird for me, but I did really, really love this book. I gave it 5 stars. I highly recommend it if you like The 13th Tale. Next on the pile is The Deep by Almakatsu. This one was sent to me by Penguin Random House, and I really enjoyed this book, but it was definitely not a perfect read for me. I ended up giving it 4 stars. That being said, I love historical fiction. I don't mind slow-paced books. I don't mind sitting in one space and just reading about characters, which this book kind of does. It's not fast-paced, and there are a lot of side characters, but I loved reading about them and I loved being just with them. I loved the atmosphere and I loved learning about like what the Titanic looked like and the fashion at the time, and I thought that this story was really beautifully written. I would say her writing style is right up my alley. I would love to try some of her other books. I've heard her other books are a lot creepier than this one. So a little quick warning, if you're planning on buying this because you love horror, stop, take a step back. This book is not scary. I would not even categorize it in the horror section if it was up to me. I would say this is more of like, I don't know how to explain it, like, because I don't want to say the thing because it's massive spoiler, but if you're going into it looking for horror and looking for something that's going to keep you on your toes, creeped out the whole time, it's not going to happen. I am a bit of a chicken when it comes to books because my imagination just makes it too vivid for me, and I was not scared for a single second in this whole book. So if you like historical fiction and you'd like to read a book about the Titanic with kind of a creepy twist, go into it thinking that. But if you're going into it expecting something scary, you're gonna be really disappointed. That being said, I did end up really enjoying it. It wasn't 5 stars because I think it was miscategorized a little bit, but I did really enjoy the story and I did think it was really beautifully written. And from what I know, or at least from what I've heard, I think Almakatsu takes historical situations and then puts a spooky twist on them. So I am very curious to find another one of her books and see if I liked it as much as I liked this one. Next on the stack, I'm so excited. I finally read the first Harry Potter. This is the UK edition, which is why it's the Philosopher's Stone. I am collecting the Bloomsbury ones, so I've ordered book 2 already. I don't really need to talk about Harry Potter. You guys all know what Harry Potter is about. I'm like the last person on the planet to read Harry Potter. Okay, I know I'm not the last, but I feel like I'm one of the last people who is my age who has not read this book yet. And I get the hype. I completely get it. I didn't annotate this one either because I was just so in the story. Like, a lot of times when I'm reading a book, like, I don't mind stopping, throwing in a tab, making a note, and just continuing on. But this one, it just moves so quickly, and it's just so easy to breeze through. I could definitely see, as long as I enjoy the whole series, which I have no doubts that I will, reading it all and then coming back and annotating, like, my favorite parts. Because it was such a good story. It was so endearing, and it felt nostalgic even though I've never read it before, and I just kind of wanted to jump in and just mindlessly just ingest the story. And I loved this. I gave this one 5 stars. I'm really excited to get book 2, and whenever it comes, I'll probably pick it up right away because I'm excited and I really want to finish this series this year. I know the books get bigger as they go, but I'm really excited that I finally started this series, and it was a great payoff because it was just as good as I expected it to be. Honorable mentions, I did not finish. I'm about 60% of the way through. This is Hum If You Don't Know the Words by Bianca Murray, and she is a sweet person. I'm just gonna put that out there. She is so active on Instagram, and she was so sweet. She commented on one of my posts, and so I think that's a really sweet touch when authors make time to like interact with their fans or whatever. I just think that's a really sweet thing because they don't have to. I don't think that you have to do that, but when they do, it's really endearing and it just makes it feel even more worthwhile. So anyway, enjoying the author as a person aside, this book is so beautifully written. And like I said, there's still about 40% to go, so maybe something could change. Maybe there's a hiccup that brings it to a 4, but right now we are on track for a like 5 or 6 star book. The first part that I read, I loved every page. The 2 perspectives that we follow, so we have Beauty, who's looking for her daughter after like the uprising, and then we have a 10-year-old girl named Robin who loses her parents, and she's dealing with these feelings of grief and loss, and Beauty is also kind of dealing with loss. We don't really, at this point, I don't know what's going on, but you just get these really in-depth characters, and I think so far, what I really love about what the author did with this is everybody is incredibly flawed. There isn't like a good and bad side. Everyone is incredibly flawed, and it goes really in depth, and I think using a kid to show like the white perspective is a really interesting view because she's still kind of growing up and learning things. She's absorbing things that people are saying around her and starting to ask questions, and I'm in love with this story. It's like I'm getting shivers thinking about it because it's just so beautifully written so far. So I have no doubts that this is going to end up being a 5 star. I hope to finish it before this video goes live, but I'm loving this so much so far. And then last but not least, we have The Secret Garden by, I always forget who this is by, Frances Hodgson Burnett. And this is an illustrated version. I got this off Book Outlet. Somebody asked, I think, somewhere, don't remember where, but I got this edition off of Book Outlet. I don't know if it's still on there because I got it like a year and a half ago, but it's beautiful. It's illustrated by Lauren Child, so you could always Google that. But anyway, Owl and I are absolutely loving this story. She's having such a good time. I love looking up at her during certain parts and her face will just go, like there's a little boy named Colin who doesn't walk, and eventually throughout the book she gets really excited about some of the goings on in this book, or she got really appalled by a couple of Mary's actions near the beginning and her thoughts near the beginning. It is a great story, and I know she just turned 5, so this is probably a little old for her, but she seems to absorb the story in a really great way. She knows what's going on if you ask her who the characters are and what they're doing and where they're going and what she thinks. She has legitimate opinions on it, so I don't think it's too like out of her depth or whatever. But anyway, we were both enjoying this. This is also on track to being a 5 star book. I remembered loving it when I was 10 when I read it the first time. and I'm loving it now, especially sharing this with my daughter. Also, this is one of my mother-in-law's absolute favorite stories. She actually has in her backyard her very own secret garden built behind this little wall, which is full of mosquitoes, and I don't like going in there, but she loves it, and she loves that Owl is loving it, so it's something we can all kind of bond over, and I'm just really enjoying this story. We have hardly anything left. There's like maybe 3 chapters left. We're almost done. But I'm so excited to be sharing this with my daughter, and I love reading to my kids, and I also love that my kids just love books as much as I do. Alright friends, that's everything that I've got for today's video. Have you read any of these books, or any of these books that you're interested in? Have you read anything really great lately? Let me know down below. And while you're down there, if you haven't subscribed already, please do, and hit the bell so you don't miss future notifications. I do upload most Mondays and Thursdays, and I will talk to you guys all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.